Hey doers, welcome back to the Social Examiner. Here on this platform, we observe the current state of society by reflecting on how we contribute to it as individuals. So today's video, we're going to be talking about programming. Okay? I've been seeing it a lot on my Facebook feed and sometimes Instagram, but mainly on Facebook. And when people throw around the word programming, ooh, this organization or system over here is creating a type of programming that is usually deemed negative or evil, okay? And it's meant for us to not be informed on what this life is truly, about, or is to let us be at some type of disadvantage, okay? Usually when you hear this word programming being thrown around, it's usually in its stigma, understanding in a stigma and emotional sense, and not truly for what the word is and how it applies to a lot of things in this life. So we're going to be breaking that down in this video, okay? So when I look it up on Google, okay, because we don't carry dictionaries anymore, right? Programming as a noun is the process or activity of writing computer programs. The second one, the action or process of scheduling something, especially radio or television programs. Okay, now when you go to the verb meaning of the word program, or to program, it is to provide with coded instructions for the automatic performance of a task. Okay, arrange according to a plan or schedule. There is one more definition that was less robotic. Okay, schedule within a framework. There's one more. Found it. To cause a person or animal to behave in a predetermined way. A predetermined way. So in other words, you are receiving instructions, downloads, doctrine, information, communication that, if you're a human, because I'm talking about how it pertains to us human beings, when the information get received, it does a thing in your mind. It formulates thoughts and then core beliefs that affects your identity or your behavior on how you act, okay? Your behavior becomes predetermined in what you know. As the man thinketh, so is he. Okay, that's somewhere in the Bible. And you know that saying, you are what you eat, you are what you consume. Okay, the same thing. The information can impact your life, okay? And this information, what we're talking about, however it is, whether it's coding and whatever, proposed by television, school institutions, churches, reading material, communication, okay? In programming, it's also learning, okay? In programming, you're also learning. But with me talking about and describing the definitions, it's not attached to something that is either evil or good, okay? It is neutral. The programming that we receive can either be good information or bad information, for our good or not for our good, okay? Affect our behavior in a predetermined way that is either good or not good, okay? Let's lean into that some more. And I'm gonna take things biblically, because it's about time, and I'm gonna keep up bringing it up on this channel. We're going to look at some words that has a lot to do with the life that we live today, but our understanding of the word is stuck in stigma and emotions, not in true definition and application of the word, and how it is in everything we do, okay? So when we talk about programming, let's talk about creation, okay? I believe that there's a God, one God, Yahweh. that exists in three persons. I understand that not everybody believes in God, okay? But that's where I'm going to start, because it's very important. As you are a human, you should know that you didn't create yourself. So once you start there and think there and sit with it, you'll understand that you are a created being. Okay, so it's very important that you believe that there is a God. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to force this on anyone. But if you just know that you didn't create yourself, nor your parents create themselves, and you go so on and so on, okay? Something created something. And best believe it is supernatural, because for me to even talk to you right now, I have a voice box and all this intricate, complex things going on right now, and breathing automatically without my will, without my consent, without my programming. Okay, it's a supernatural act in itself. But anyways, I'm going to take this back to programming. To understand programming, let's go into Genesis. Okay, because yeah, I believe in that there is a God, the Most High, given the name Yahweh in Hebrew, and translated to many other things. But yes, I believe in the triune God, although his nature is complex to me, because I don't know it all. I don't really know everything about the Trinity. It's just a word that was given in for the English or whatever language. Okay, so in the beginning, for me and all of mankind to be created by a supreme being that is immaterial, God, creator, to be a created thing, the process included a formation of a structure, body, and spirit, because we humans, we are both body and spirit, okay? So we have those mechanisms, it meshed together somehow. You're seeing me talk right now, and there's a spirit, whether it's in this dimension or another dimension. I'm not going to get that far into it, but that is part of being a human. A part of being a human is not just being a body vehicle by itself. It is powered and operated by electricity and other automatic functioning and organs and all this stuff. The blood is pumping without my command and X, Y, and Z, okay? Things that it's not in my control. It's doing its thing, and it's following a programming and an order of operation that has been instructed and designed by the creator, okay? All right, for me to have this specific, unique, the one and only body vehicle that looks like me, that have these birthmarks and all this intricate stuff, however many hairs I have on my head, that was assigned and designed for me specifically to be this way, to be born this way, assigned to my parents this way. I was created on purpose, okay? For all of you guys who exist, you were created on purpose. I know some people say, well, shoot, I didn't want to be here. I didn't ask to be here. You didn't have to ask. You were assigned to live in this body coming from the parents you came from. Your parents are called stewards, essentially. They are people that took care of you. That was, of course, when they procreated, that is another, a natural innate act that was programmed, is a natural knowing. They knew to procreate in order to also create another being, to form in the womb. That's another programming that the body can do, to then birth out on a seed, okay? To populate, that's another form of programming. It is a code. You can say genetic, biological code that this assigned human vehicle can do. Okay? So what we could call the formation of humans, the assignment of a spiritual body and physical body, the abilities to speak and do and be, is created in a order. is created in a order, a modus operandi, a way of functioning that is unique. It's very complex because all of us humans don't act the same. But what is talked about in the beginning, and let me go ahead and read the creation. I've been reading the creation for a while on my platform, but let's go ahead and go and read when God created us in his image. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all of the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. Okay. Did you already hear the intent of why he created mankind? His idea, the creator's idea, was for them to rule on earth as a steward, as a manager, because we are not the one who's creating anything going on the earth, but we're being stewards to manage the resources, to name the animals as Adam has already done, and to rule over the creatures that crawls. Okay. Take care of the livestock, and also bear God's image. Clearly, you see me physically, and we clearly don't see God right now. Although he's, great and massive, described in scriptures somewhere. However, I don't see him, but it's saying that mankind, which consists of females and males, we look like our Father. We look like our Creator. What image? The image, if you read further on and just read about the works of Jesus and the fulfillment of the fulfillment of the Old Testament, okay? His image is qualities, mind, will, and emotions. The fruit of the Spirit, okay? God's attributes, his characteristic can be explained foundationally. If you read Galatians 5:22 through 23, he has the fruit of a spirit. The fruit of his spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And that is just the foundation that is listed here. God is all-encompassing, indescribable, but the Bible is foundational, so we have a good amount of words to pick from and choose from, and stories in here for us to read, historical recordings that we could read to gauge God's character and his intended character for humans, okay? For us to also have operate out of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, and gentleness, and self-control. So now when we read further, okay, and also the male and female thing, I get it. Our nation right now have an issue. At first, I was shy from talking about this because I get it. There are a lot of people who don't feel like they're in the correct body and all of that stuff. And that has stemmed from childhood. That was a knowing that they have all of a sudden. And I'm here to let you know that it is true, that your feelings are true, but not your assignment. Or let me rephrase that. The feeling that you have is due to your emotions and the belief that you have in your heart, whatever information and that you have, that you can't really know where the origin of that information that you have and that core belief that you have, that you are not in the right body. Your feelings are valid. However, it cannot supersede your assignment. For instance, this could be traced and figured out genetically, biologically, appearance-wise. Okay, there's certain features, there's certain descriptions of what a male or female is, okay? That was assigned to us by our Creator. Okay? It's set in stone. So I understand when people say, oh, this gender was assigned at birth. Okay, technically it wasn't assigned at birth. It was already assigned outside of time which God exists outside of time, and you were formed in your mother's womb, okay, because females are the only beings that can procreate, it was assigned for you to be the gender that you came out as, okay? That can be found in the blood, traced in the blood, known in the blood, okay? It's scientific. It is not whatever you feel like, because we have a lot of feelings that is going on right now, and it's due to another programming, which consists of doctrine, information, communication, and that kind of stuff. I'll get into that later. But yes, your gender was assigned to you, okay? The way I was created, looking different than the next girl, the next female. This was assigned to me. Not only in physicality, there is a purpose in which, there's a purpose for the reason why I was created and am living right now at this current time. Being born in 1996. Everyone was born at certain dates. It is assigned. It was assigned to you. Your birth date was assigned to you. Really, just sit with that. Everything is a assignment. Why you exist today is because you're not just here to live a good life and woohoo, just do you, boo. Do what makes you happy. Which, God will love us to be happy and actually experience joy, which is not temporary happiness, but it's joy that surpasses all understanding, all circumstances. No matter if you're in the midst of a big storm and chaos, you'll have this joy and knowing that our Creator is faithful and whatever you're experiencing is happening on assignment. It is divine. Has nothing to do with your calculations and your own will for yourself. Although we have the free will, which is another thing that is going to be interesting to kind of talk about. But yes, it was even in our Creator's plan to act out of a free will, having a free will. To do things that He considers and as the perfect standard, because He's God, Creator, who created creation. He has a standard that is described being good or evil. You just keep reading the Bible, it tells you the acts of evil. Galatians 5:19-21. Okay? There is a way of life that humans can behave or do a certain life, using our free will to pick a certain life, a certain destiny to act out in. And depending on what it is, it could either be a good thing or a bad thing, a good thing or an evil thing. A good thing being under the foundation or the boundary, being under the boundary or assignment of the Creator, so God's will, or not of His will, which is evil. Within His will, which is called obedience, or outside of His will, that's called disobedience. In order of the life that He created, or out of order of the life that He created. So let's see, just to further talk about how the lives that we are living has been given to us, because there's somewhere in here where He breathed life into humans. It's somewhere in here. Can I find it? I'm just going to pass on because I don't want this video to be too long. But if we're living, we received God's breath, whether you call it oxygen, is a supernatural thing. I cannot see it. Molecularly, perhaps we can. To live is to be given life from our Creator. But yes, to further drive home the programming and how this life is an assignment, let's go to Jeremiah 1:5. Jeremiah 1:5. Okay. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Okay. So this guy, he's young at this time, talking to God, was, let me see what was going on here. He was I think when I read the story, he was very young for his age, being assigned to being a prophet. Okay. To fulfill a will, was created for a purpose, for a reason at this time, whichever, this book of the Bible took place in his life, birthed into time for a specific assignment. It also mentions that before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. You already existed before you were imparted into a physical womb. That is already a supernatural thing for you to pop up in a womb, being both spirit plopped into a body. Okay, so seed that could form into a body is all a supernatural act. Let's be clear. Okay, science can barely explain it. Everyone's trusting in science. Sure, it's a bunch of explanations, but not having anything to do with the actual creator, the complexity of what our creator really has done. I get it. Science is just catching up. It's just catching up. I knew you before you were born. I set you apart. I set you apart. You're unique. You are unique, and you're going to live out this life, either in assignment within God's will or not. Let me further read Psalms 139, just to kind of drive this home before I get onto my next topic. I hope you guys are following me, and I hope I'm not really, bouncing to hopefully I'm not getting on a tangent, but let's see, Psalms. Okay, I was reading Psalms 139. So I'm going to do 139, 13 through 18. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. What is that describing? God is all-knowing. He's all-knowing. He exists outside of time. He knows what you're going to do at 55 years old. Okay? And how you're going to pass away, how your body vehicle is going to expire. He knows every single thing. Before a word, so verse 4, before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. So the knowledge of us really understanding about God and how we can, for instance, how I'm able to talk to you right now and what is actually moving in the air, moving in the, what do you call it? The valve and the whatever science want to explain. It's still not even hitting to how I'm talking to you right now. And how I'm breathing automatically by a command. A predetermined, pre-programmed demand that has nothing to do with my control. I have to try to hold my breath for a little bit and then the body's gonna, breathe. Oh, it's crazy. Let me read till, where can I go from your spirit? Okay, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? We can't hide. Okay, like Adam and Eve, they try to go behind a bush and God is like, he said, where are you? He was just, he was just not being sarcastic, but he was just, what's that kind of question? It's like not an actual question. It's just to talk for you, the person who's hiding, to process what you're doing right now and why you're hiding from your creator. Adam and Eve, when they ate the apple, not the apple, when they ate the fruit. Okay, stop saying apple. That's programming. Okay, I'll explain that later. But they ate the fruit, which all of a sudden made them want to be apart from the creator. So they hid from the all-knowing God, the all-seeing. Okay, he probably could see through the physical. Yeah. If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Okay, because we are also ground matter. Our body vehicle is made out of the ground, as described in Genesis 1. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand when I wake. I am still with you. Okay, and it goes on, but it's just like, wow, how can our mind really fathom how we were created? Okay, so in creating this place, universe that we call life, it's just life. Everything is living for the most part. There are inanimate objects. There are things that are considered non-living, but for the most part, a lot of it is living. Okay, water is living. Okay, they're testing that stuff right now with frequencies and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of things, like the trees, are living. Though it's kind of stationed in one place, it kind of flows a little bit depending on its build. But pretty much a lot of things in nature and in this life, it is living, and it operates by a law. It operates by a code. It is inherent. Okay. We humans can conceive what could be good or evil. Now, what we face today, because I get it, not always have the same morals. We live life in a gray area sometimes, make excuses for certain things and excuses and da-da-da-da. Yeah. Why that is happening is due to mankind's obedience to sin, ability to perceive sin and do it. What happens, I've talked about this in my other videos, my previous videos. Go ahead and look at it. It's like, okay, what has sin done to us? Or no, how does sin affect us? It's one of those. Just go back to my previous videos and just watch that. But what sin did, because if we read somewhere in Genesis 3, once they ate of the fruit, both of them, their eyes were open. What opened up was the many ways for us to adhere to a way of life, either within God's will or outside of God's will, to make it plainly, to be of good or be of evil. When mankind chose to do a thing, which was eat of that fruit of both knowing good and evil, that is called discernment. They ate that fruit of discernment, and their minds opened up to the ways of doing the both good and evil. However, they don't understand it perfectly, nor able to handle that type of knowledge perfectly. The only being that can handle good and perfect discernment is our Creator. It was not meant for us to know good and evil, because now we're trying to rationalize certain things and behaviors and now be our own God and make new determinations of what good and evil is. And now it has made us corrupt. It has corrupted us. In technical terms, just talk about programming. It has corrupted our modus operandi our hard drive. That's what has happened. Our radar is off, to say it simply. And it has some people be adhering to a way of life that seems righteous, it seems good, but it is not. And it leads to destruction. It leads to destruction because it's going against the will of God, the will of our Creator, whether you know it or not. Whether you know it or not. Let's see what else. All right, so in talking about this life operating in a order, so it operated in a order originally. It still is. It's just now with mankind, just focusing on mankind. As mankind fell due to their obedience to sin, okay? Remember, there was an original way of life, original order. We could say the original order of God is what mankind obeyed. Now, due to the obedience to sin, and our radar of judgment or discernment is off, here comes the establishment of a new world order, a new universal order. A way of life opposite of the will of God is now being followed right now as we speak. And that is why we can sit down and watch the news and see chaos. Humans acting out of order, of a way of life that we have an inclination of because we were created by the Creator. However, due to also our core beliefs and things that now is accepted culturally or within a family structure or peers and whatever other influences in our lives, we're adhering to a way of life that is within God's will, sometimes in God's will, sometimes not, and most times not in God's will. And it's doing a lot to us, okay? Right now we're experiencing a new world order, okay? Because now let's talk about the being, a group of spiritual beings that is out here described in the Bible that proposes a will that always goes against God's original will for mankind to obey. And guess what? It is the kingdom of darkness. Demons, Satan, fallen angels, whatever you want to call it. Demonic principalities. Okay? Their goal is to feed us information, feed us ideas, tempting ones, pleasurable ones, desiring, whatever the case may be, imaginations. It may look fun, pleasurable, cool, whatever it is. Proposing all of these ideas by way of an instruction, a doctrine, entertainment, because it's creative, where humans are creative, we gravitate to things like that. Things are also emotionally driven, so by pictures, by art. Did I say school institution already? Okay. Through laws, campaigns, whatever the case may be. This knowledge is being passed on, and, mankind has an open ear to hear it and apply it in obedience, and it is doing a thing in the nation. Okay. So it's by no surprise that, on a dollar bill, or other arts or governmental symbols and whatever is proposing a new world order. I get it. When we talk about it, it jumps into the realm of conspiracy, and you guys don't even use the word right. So let's just start there, and that'll be the next video, maybe. We'll see. Because, we like to think in stigma and emotions and not really think about the word and how it applies to our life right now. But anyways, the kingdom of darkness is proposing the new world order. So any government, any person, any group of people, any culture, any tribe that is adhering to a doctrine, a thought, ideation, imagination, creativity, whatever being proposed in a supernatural matter first, because knowledge yes, it gets communicated, but it starts in a immaterial realm. It is supernatural. To have thoughts is a supernatural act. There's a filing cabinet somewhere in the brain. Okay, you think all words and things get compacted in a physical brain? No, the brain is like a modem, a transmitter, whatever, a radio. But the knowledge and the words that we're using is describing something that is supernatural and spiritual, existing in a realm that we can't see, but all we know, we are accepting thoughts into our minds and adhering to the will. So if we already know that God is the one who predetermines what good and evil is perfectly, and he communicated in his word, which was illuminated or inspired, instructed to the writers of the book. God is the author, but there's writers who physically wrote it on whatever they used. What do you call it? The Dead Sea Scrolls, whatever, before the Dead Sea Scrolls, whatever writing utensils and whatever they had back in the day to compile this Bible that we are reading right now. That also formulated teachings and more doctrines and some traditions and whatever the case may be. If we are adhering to a way of life that is the opposite of what God has originally programmed, it is what? Automatically evil. And it's derailing us as a nation. It's derailing us as an individual. It may first start off as harmless, but please understand what our Creator is communicating to us if we just read. Oh, but I don't believe in a book. Oh, it's mythical this and that and that. But then yet the beliefs that you guys have also, you're, because you don't have a physical book, you're still adhering to thoughts. You're still adhering to a way of life that was not created by you. You just accepted those beliefs as true and you're doing it and you're living it. It technically can't be proven either. What gives us proof and evidence is actually seeing a pattern of things. There's a way of life that does exist, and it is noticeable. It's predictive even. This Bible does a great job with being prophetic and predictable in the human behavior. We're predictable, which is meant for learning purposes. Okay? We're told in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, by our Creator, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you'll be able to test and approve what God will is for you, which is good, pleasing, and a perfect will. So God's already telling us off the bat, the education, the knowledge, the thoughts, imaginations, entertainment that the mainstream world proposes, that the government proposes, that the public school education proposes, that the mainstream media proposes. It is of a way of life and of a doctrine that is deemed and labeled as worldly. It is considered the opposite of the knowledge of God. They go against the opposite of God's law. His law that was created and existed in the beginning before it was written. There's a written law and a spoken law. As God created the earth, he spoke it into existence. Are we catching on? So there's a way of life that is predominantly being proposed mainstream. Okay? It is not the will of God. Just to be honest. It is not. How do we know that? Look in our history. You can look in, any nation can do this. Look in the history. Look what they represent. Just see what's going on. Their allegiance. Their spiritual practices, because please understand, we're spiritual beings. But I don't want to get too far out of topic. But yes, there's a programming in a lot of the things that we do. That's number one. And it starts off with information, communication, what you see visually, what you listen to, whether it's music or audibly, podcast and X, Y, and Z, even my thing, my platform. It is time for us to evaluate, especially in our lifestyles right now, the life that we're living and how we're feeling and the emotions. I get it, not to lean too much on the emotions, but if you're feeling right now hopeless, like you don't have a purpose, oh, this world is crazy and evil, oh, it's sinister, everything's so sinister, and what is the meaning of this life that we're living right now, and what can I do about it? Like, if you're constantly waking up and thinking about those things, and you're tired of chasing the escapism and the distractions, and tired of the drinking and doing drugs and whatever, you can potentially be on the verge of understanding the programming that you have accepted. And if you're feeling a bunch of negativity, it's because right now you're operating in a corrupted programming. Let's just be clear. Let me just speak clearly right now. You're operating in a corrupted programming. If you're feeling this way, always defeated, negative self-talk, you're very insecure about your worth and what you do, and you're attracting all of the wrong people, grew up in a terrible environment, which probably did another number on you, okay? You're operating in a programming that is outside of the will of God. Yes, what you're experiencing right now has been allowed because we have free will. And what, starting from your upbringing till now, and, mixed with personal decisions and the decisions of your caretakers who were, assigned to manage you and take care of you, but some of them did a bad job and all that. You know what I'm saying? It's so much we could talk about. But if you're feeling this way and this video is speaking to you, it is time to talk to our Creator. It's time for you to talk to your Creator, because I had to do it. God was telling me for a good series of time last year, cut off the secular music. You're listening to a bunch of garbage, and cut off watching like reality TV shows. I was watching Love Island, is Love Blind, and all these, silly, nonsensical shows that is, easy to watch when you're doing work, and I sew for a living or whatever. So, but that's what's meditating on my mind. Okay. A lot of noise, and God was like, hey, silence that. I want you to get into the word. I didn't understand why. I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm already Christian. I already believe in you, God. I already know of you and all that kind of stuff. He's like, yeah, but you don't understand the order of life that I created. You don't understand the original programming of your existence, of your life, of God, how you perceive who you are, your inner beliefs is how you perceive yourself and how you view God. A lot of us are viewing our Creator incorrect. We are treating him with contempt, like he's less than, and putting our will, our thoughts, our expertise for what we think we know about this life higher than him. That is the source of our dysfunction. That is the source of your depression. That is the source of your anxiety. That is the source of your drug use. That is the source of your family operating in dysfunction. You are operating. If you think that you're the expert of this life from whatever you learn, I'm 28, and maybe you might be looking at this and you're probably 35. It don't matter. If you think that you're the expert of this life and you are somewhat all-knowing, as if you are a God and you know what's best for your life, and oh no, you have been sadly mistaken. You are not smart. I am not smart. I came to the understanding of what this life is about, in part, because we only know, I can't know the whole thing. Oh no, oh my God. But I'm learning about myself clear, and it's adhering to the law, the original law of this life, the original programming. I see what was out of order. I see, when you read the word, it reflects back on you. It reflects on who God actually is. My mind is being transformed to what this is really meaning. So before I did this, it's called surrender. It's like, okay, I'm surrendering to the way of life, God, that you're proposing, and your instructions that you're telling me right now to do, which is turn off the secular music, stop watching these dumb shows. It's leading me nowhere. Okay? I finally did that. And when I tell y'all, I'm receiving downloads by the Creator. I'm receiving downloads from God on what is really going on and who or what I was created for. I'm being reprogrammed. When you read the Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world. Do not conform to the programming of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Our minds need to be renewed. We need to go through a thing called deprogramming. So that we can know who we are in our true identity. This whole inspiration is going to point back to Christ. There being a savior to save the world from our corruption. Because believe it or not, we all dibble and dabble in some form or measure of corruption. No one ever is here that could claim that they are a perfect person. We can't. We have all been corrupted. And our all-knowing God already foresees the corruption we'll be dibbling and dabbling in later on in this life. And he's saying, hey, none of y'all meet the mark because your body vehicle, your mind and will, has been corrupted. I'm here to renew it. By way of Jesus Christ, I'm here to renew it. It is time to be deprogrammed, flat out. So that you can no longer have to be hopeless. Why be hopeless when you understand that you are a spiritual being and this life truly doesn't even end? There's a lot of systematic things and obstacles being created, but listen, if we adhere to God's good and perfect will for our life, those obstacles will be nothing. Although if we're seeing it physically, baby, we're going to walk through it. Listen, I'm going to end things right here. Please begin to understand. Watch this video again. Do your own research. Pick up the Bible. Simply go to God in prayer. This simple communication. It's not the clasping of hands or whatever. If you really truly want to understand what I'm talking about right now, or just understand your existence and why you have the thoughts that you have and why you feel so depressed and all these things, it means something. When the body is depressed or have anxiety, see it as a alert that this body vehicle that is not owned by us, but it was assigned by us, is alerting you on something. And it's about time that you pay attention. Listen, I'm on fire. It is time for us to pay attention. Stop just chucking these up for just saying it's a mental illness or whatever. No, baby. This body is saying alert, alert, alert. And you keep on feeding it drugs to silence it. You keep on drinking alcohol and just distracting it to really just tell the body, shut up. I don't know what to do with this alert. It's an alert system that's not controlled by you. But it has a download that still is functioning. Okay, some of y'all are still functioning. You're not totally sedated. So it is time to figure out what this body is saying alert, alert to. It's time for you to stop with the escapism, shut off the noise, and talk to the Creator. If you don't know what to call him because you're not a believer, you're not Christian, you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you don't believe in Yeshua, you don't believe in Yahweh, okay, if that's you, then simply wherever you're at your room, in your car, park. Don't do this while you're doing, you're driving. And simply talk to God. God, Somebody say, oh, if there's a God, reveal yourself to me. I really want to know you. Do this sincerely, y'all. If you're doing it in I'm going to prove this lady wrong. If there's a God, and he ain't going to answer none of that crap. Okay? So if you are just truly sincere, you're at your wit's end, and you probably don't have to even wait till you're at your wit's end. You're just like, God, who are you? I want to know you. I want to know why I've been created. Because I'm clearly the created thing. I want to know why I'm here. I want to know why this is happening. I wanted to know why I was a part of the family I came from. I want to know if what I'm doing right now currently as a occupation, is that what I was designed to do? What am I supposed to be doing right now? Can you please reveal yourself to me? And watch what God will do. So that is all I have to say. All right. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, share this video, and wait for the next one. Bye.